has the 1-1 Grimer line, the 1-1 Alolan Grimer. So that would be quite crucial in this matchup, I think, just to make sure you establish that Alolan Muck, which will obviously stop Adam from using his Jirachi, stop him using those Stellar Wish, which is crucial to his deck when trying to switch to and from his Pokemon to utilize Zapdos.
Yeah, and it's that big back and forth between these decks where Steven's going to try and develop that Muck and shut down those Jirachis. Adam then has his own Sprint to try and fight back and remain in the game and still give him enough draw power to push through. We saw that struggle in the first round, and that's really what we're going to be seeing again in this next round.
Absolutely, and so that's one thing to keep in mind from Adam's side. He will be obviously aware of that because he is a very experienced player, has been around in the game for a very long time. Alolan Muck does only shut down the abilities of your basic Pokemon, which means that One-Step Striker comes out, and it does have that Sprint ability, that he'll still be able to use that and keep being able to draw more cards from his deck.
Nothing too awkward in the prize cards for Adam. He only plays one copy of that Eevee and Jolteon line, and also Thunder Mountain, so those aren't really too accessible, but overall it's things like Shrine of Punishments, which is usually the stadium card that he's more so looking for, and he wants to try and remain as non-GX as possible. Moving over to Steven, though, a couple of double colorless energies. Ooh. That's definitely going to be awkward for them. These two will know each other inside and out. These are the decks that they both played, actually, at the Cannes special event earlier in this format as well. So they've stuck to their guns. They know that these are their favorite decks in this metagame, and they're still here in day 2 right now. Steven going to kick things off. Looks like he started with the Zorua here, to Adam starting off with his Buzzwole and Zapdos.
Right, and he's played this quite well, putting the Zapdos on the deck on the bench, because obviously once he switches that into the active spot, that will obviously gain the benefits of having that Thunderous Assault attack, which will bump it up to 80 damage, a little bit more if he uses those Electro powers. But starting with Steven, he does go for the Pokemon Communication. This is a little bit of information from his deck. He's kind of going through, working out what is prized at the moment. He probably already knows in his head what he is looking to get at this moment, or has an idea as to what cards he's searching for, but just trying to gain more information as to into his deck as to what's prized. And he does go for that Tapu Lele GX, which gets him the Wonder Tag. Wonder Tag will search out Lily, which means that he'll draw until he has up to 8 cards in his hand for this turn.
I think he's already got an Alolan Grimer in hand as well, so a few other basic Pokemon. The only thing else he'll be looking for this turn is the likes of Ditto. As we saw last game with that last round, we saw the Alolan Grimer and Ditto coming onto the field all at once, and we actually see a second Pokemon Communication from Steven. This could be incredible, developing those basics very early and putting the pressure on Adam to really have an answer to Alolan Muck. When you're going first, getting that Ditto Grimer combination is such a big deal.
Absolutely, and it's a smart play from his side, getting out that Ditto first, because obviously once Alolan Muck comes into play, that Ditto will no longer be in effect. So it's a good idea to start evolving that first before you start going down the other routes of evolving your other Pokemon. But there goes, as you say, the Alolan Grimer. Worth mentioning that Alolan Grimer can actually attack a Jirachi and knock it out if required. So Steven has obviously seen this and decided that is the better play. A lot of Jirachis featuring over the course of yesterday and today. Let's see what his hand consists of here. So he's unable to evolve this turn because it is his first turn. There is a Rockruff in hand, which he's giving back, and I think so the Rockruff goes on the bench, and then he passes his turn over to Adam. So Adam will be able to attack this turn. That's one of the benefits of going second with this kind of Zapdos variant, is he will be able to, if he can, try and get the knockout on this Zorua in the active spot.
He's already holding on to Switch and Escape Rope with Lightning Energy, so that's already on the cards for him. He's already got Ultra Ball and a Cynthia as well, so I believe he's more than likely going to try and develop something like a Blitzel as soon as you see the Grimer and Ditto combination.
Wow. He's going for 2 discard, 2 Escape Ropes. Yeah, he does have the Switch in hand, which he will be able to, and I think he has the energy as well. I think I saw that, so he will have the knockout this time. But getting rid of 2 Escape Rope is pretty quite strong. First round or first turn. But again, Adam is just searching through his deck. He realizes that there is a Alolan Grimer into play, so that's why he's going with the Blitzel there to get that out. There goes a Switch, so Zapdos goes active, and a Cynthia for his time, which will give him allow him to shuffle his hand into his deck, which is currently non-existent, and then draw until he has 6 cards.
Yeah, not too shabby. He's got that guaranteed knockout. Blitzel is always a thing you can develop. One difference between Adam's list and the list we saw from Andre is that he only plays the 1-1 Zeb Striker, and Steven was already able to develop a Rockruff as well, so there may be this crazy turn from Steven next turn if he's able to find a combination of a lower muck plus Lycanroc GX, he could bring up the one Blitzel. Adam, this is a lot more fragile against these Zoroark decks because of his tech choice of playing the Jolteon rather than a thicker line of the Zebra, as we are seeing Adam taking the first prize of the game, taking initiative, and it's over to Steven now to see how he reacts. He only has one more double Colorless Energy in his deck after committing one turn one to his Tapu Lele. That's why we're going to see that get promoted now. And Steven, I think he doesn't have any Zoroark. Oh, he has one Zoroark in his hand currently. And he's also holding on to a Judge as well, which might get played this turn. It doesn't look like he has any outs to the Alolan Muck just yet, so that's got to be what he's digging for this turn.
Right, and I mean, Adam actually just took that Eevee from his prizes, which means that if he wants to go down that route of using energy evolutions to evolve straight into Jolteon, that won't be effective if Muck is in play. So surely Steven must be thinking at this point that this Alolan Muck is pretty crucial at this moment, just because he can see on the opposing side that there is a Jirachi in play. So he will start to gain the effects of that. I mean, he'll be able to switch into Jirachi and use Stellar Wish. So that's something that Steven will be looking to do this turn. He does only play the one copy, but he has got an Ultra Ball in hand. Now, Ultra Ball will give him access to searching that if he chooses to do so. And of course, he still has Trade from his Zoroark GX, which he is using now.
Trades into a Devoured Field and a Guzma by the looks of things. Not very easy discards for him, actually. He's got, I believe, one Draw Supporter and Acerola. He's basically clogged up with supporters right now, and they're all supporters that you want to keep an eye on. Even getting rid of Stadiums is a little awkward because that Shrine of Punishment can always start ticking over and making life awkward. That's why we're seeing Steven slow down a little bit, because it's not an easy choice for him. Acerola, Guzma, Stadium card, these are not very good targets for your Ultra Ball, but it's that important to get the Alolan Muck down early that you might just have to go with these awkward discards.
Right, and so he needs obviously one of the... He's choosing, interestingly, to keep both Cynthia and the Lily in hand for next turn, which I guess, kind of do more or less the same thing in terms of drawing cards. He's choosing to get to put in the discard pile his Guzma and the Devoured Field. Interestingly, as you said, Joe, that, yeah, he will have to be careful of that Shrine of Punishment, but there goes one Devoured Field. It'll be interesting to see how many Stadium cards he does play, but he does have the Alolan Muck in hand now. So just seeing what he puts it down on. I think he's contemplating between the Ditto and putting it down on Alolan Grimer here. Obviously, if he puts it down on the Alolan Grimer, Ditto will not be in play.
Essentially, both of them become useless. The big upside of evolving into the Alolan Grimer is that if Adam is ever to take a knockout with a Guzma and a few Electro Powers in combination, he can just Rescue Stretcher them back. But Rescue Stretcher's already been burnt, so he's just saying, well, if Adam does knock out this Muck, at least I gain back this bench space via the Ditto, whereas Grimer is only ever a Grimer. Right.
I was just thinking only because if he decides to attack with a Grimer, if a Jirachi stays asleep, that might be one viable out. But as you say, yeah, it's... I think from Adam's side, I'm not sure if he'll be targeting that Alolan Muck, but if he does, then as you say, yes, that Ditto will become active and he will get that bench space back. But Adam just goes with...
yeah, it's a very simple turn. It's a Beast Energy, Guzma, attack with Sledgehammer for 120. Simple but effective. You can see why Steven now was holding on to that Acerola. He was basically saying, well, I can Cynthia if he's going to Guzma up a small target, but if he's going to try and 2-hit KO through my only Zoroark, I'm going to have to Acerola it back up, and this is pretty reasonable for Steven right now. The only downside is no double Colorless Energies for him.
No, he only has one more in his deck, I believe, because two of them are currently prized. So it's going to be a bit of a search trying to get... Well, and he's used there his Acerola for the turn, which means he won't have access to drawing more cards unless he chooses to go with Trade, which will be an additional 2. You have to think it's pretty unlikely that he will be able to find another double Colorless Energy this turn, so it might just be a case of going, which he does, attacking with a Tapu Lele GX for this turn.
Yeah, peppering up that Buzzwole, especially when the Devoured Field's been already discarded from Steven, and there's only one double Colorless Energy accessible to him. It feels like it's almost inevitable that he's going to have to try and 2-hit KO this Buzzwole currently. Adam is clutching onto a Lily now, and he's also going to Rainbow Energy his Buzzwole. And we're going to see 2 Electro Powers as well. This means that he could retreat his Buzzwole and go for a Zapdos knockout if he's able to find one more damage buffing card here. It's a big Lily for 6.
Let's see what he gets. I think I saw on a skateboard there. He gets an Eevee skateboard, Rescue Stretcher Energy, and 2 other cards which I'm unable to see at the moment. Let's see what he's what. Here we go. So he has the Shrine of Punishment in hand. He has his skateboard, Rescue Stretcher. So nothing
He's just shy of the mark by the looks of things. He's able to escape board his active, meaning that the Buzzwole would still be a threat on the bench if you're only removing that rainbow energy while retreating. He's also going to bench the Eevee, and he is going to play the Shrine of Punishments as well, start getting that ticking over. I think you're pretty happy to play it. Adam playing 2 copies of the Shrine of Punishment and 1, that Thunder Mountain that's currently in the prize cards. And after seeing Stephen already remove 1 stadium, he's hoping that Shrine of Punishment is going to gain some value here. And Zapdos with 2 Electro Powers and that 1 Shrine of Punishment, putting Stephen's Tapu Lele up to 150 damage. And we also know that I believe the Acerola, Stephen's second Acerola is also in the prize cards potentially as well. So that's going to be awkward for him. He's going to need a combination of Pal Pad and drawing back into it all at once, and that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think Adam put a lot of pressure on himself to get that Zapdos active for that turn, using 2 of his 4 Electro Powers. So he kind of had to go for that play, and Shrine of Punishment is adding up the damage. So as long as Shrine of Punishment stays into play, that Tapu Lele will gradually start to build up more and more damage and eventually get knocked out. Does only have, has 170 HP, already has a lot of damage on it, so this again applies a lot of pressure on Stephen to make sure he finds a counter stadium. He has already put 1 Devoured Field into the discard pile, and doesn't look like in his hand he has any out to doing that. I'm not sure if Stephen plays a Fields Blower or something like that. That would be another out. He does have 1 more Devoured Field in the deck, and I believe that's it in terms of countering stadiums.
And he needs to find that this turn. If he just takes the attack here with the Tapu Lele, he's also looking for an energy card, of course, so that he can finish off this Buzzwole. Actually, the Rainbow puts him in range. So he's got the knockout currently, but he's definitely looking for that stadium, because if not, it's a big miss, because it's going to tick back over into Adam's turn. Adam currently not holding on to a Guzma, but if that's able to be found, that would be devastating for Stephen. The Tapu Lele getting knocked out, potentially whilst Adam is also taking another prize. But this is really awkward for him. A combination of awkward prize cards and just that early commitment of the double colorless energy from Stephen is making life pretty awkward for him. He's going to commit a fighting energy to his Lycanroc GX in the back. And it looks like he's just going to have to end his turn here with the energy drive for the knockout. That rainbow energy from Adam, pushing that Buzzwole into range. But as we're seeing here, damage ticking over thanks to that Shrine of Punishment. That's going to get really critical. And Adam has essentially 1 draw here to find a Guzma that would be absolutely devastating.
Right, Adam does go with the Jirachi active. Won't get the effect of Stellar Wish because Alolan Muck is in play, but he will be looking to retreat this, which I think he will only need the 1 energy attachment just to retreat it and to gain the full effect of Zapdos. Yeah, I mean, one thing to keep in mind from Stephen's side is that he plays 1 more Devoured Field, and I believe Adam, you said, plays 2 Shrine of Punishment, so that means as long as Stephen plays down 1 Devoured Field and Adam replaces that with another Shrine of Punishment, it means that Stephen won't be able to get rid of that final Shrine of Punishments, which means that his GX Pokemon will gradually start racking up a lot of damage over the process of this game.
It's a bit of a sigh of relief here that Adam doesn't have a Guzma for Stephen, because otherwise it would just be so devastating. Looks like Adam's just going to leave the Jirachi in the active. Why attack with the Zapdos when the Shrine of Punishment can do the work for you, and you get to hold on to multiple threats now on the bench. And he's holding on to a Skateboard as well for next turn, so he can just promote that Blitzel if he wishes. So it's over to Stephen now. Shrine of Punishment ticking things over. He's going to go into a Zoroark, and he's still not holding on to any double colorless energies, so he's still really trying to dig deep for that right now. Right now, no Guzma in hand either. Life is looking pretty awkward for Stephen. These prize cards have been brutal.
Right, and there goes 1 Devoured Field, so that means that the damage won't, well, it will be at a halt for now. He will be able to kind of play a bit more resourcefully. Now he's not under pressure from, racking up damage counters on his GX Pokemon. But Adam has another, he has Thunder Mountain, which is prized, but more importantly, has another Shrine of Punishments somewhere in his deck. I don't believe it's prized, so he will be able to eventually try and get another one out and try and apply a lot of pressure on Stephen. And you start to see with this deck, when you have things like Zapdos, when you have things like Electro Powers, when you have the Shrine of Punishments, that you can really start to rack up some pretty big numbers over the course of the game, just with some very simple damage modifiers.
So a couple big trades for Stephen here. He's Nestballed for a Zorua first to give him better odds at finding double colorless energy. Guzma is also a card he's looking for at this point. He may even be Ultra Balling. We're actually going to see what looks to be, I believe he traded the Professor Kukui away. I can't imagine him using it because he's looking for other draw right now. But Yeah, it looks like a big miss again from him here. Promoting that Zoroark sort of opened him up for this. I mean, you obviously never want a Dangerous Rogue through a Jirachi, but passing feels equally very poor.
Right, you can see actually in his deck, you can see the double colorless energy, which was at the bottom of his deck. So he's just shuffling through just to make sure that it is in there, looking to see how many more resources he has to try and draw through and get that double colorless energy. He's putting a lot of pressure on him at the moment to make sure he does get that. But yeah, I mean, as you say, his only viable out at this moment. There it is, as a double colorless energy has that now in hand. That's his last one. So until he starts to take more prizes, he won't be able to have access to any more double colors energy. So he has to make sure that he plays this very conservatively and make sure he doesn't get the knockout back the following turn. But he does go for the knockout there. There's still 2 double colors there in the prizes that he's not able to get out. So, and we pass over to...
Oh, this is a crazy turn for Adam. He can rescue stretcher back his Buzzwole. Steven's just gone down to that 4-prize turn. He's already holding on to Rainbow Energy plus a skateboard. It's all there for him already, and he's even got a Lily as well. Incredible, incredible turn for Adam. He's picked up even the Thunder Mountain as well, so he can draw an additional card from this Lily. And he's done very, very well to stay in this game without sprint the entire time. And my goodness, what a turn for Adam here. Going to go down to 1 prize card, remove Steven's only double colorless energy in his deck currently. Wow, and this is just huge.
Yeah, you have to think that Adam more or less has it at this point. Once he gets the knockout on the Zoroark GX, he'll be down to 1 more prize. That means he can target something as simple as even that Ditto or that Zoro on the bench with something like Guzma. Take the knockout because he will be able to promote his Zapdos and gain the effect of that Thunderous Assault. So you have to believe that at this moment that Adam has more or less got this game wrapped up. I think Steven is just looking at this point that he needs to attack with something. He doesn't have any more double colors energies in his deck. He can use Dangerous Rogue if he chooses to go down that route. But I mean, that's at this moment the only viable option that I think that he has is trying to attack. I think other than that, he has 2 more double colors energy in the prizes, and then the other 2 are in the discard pile. So not looking too good for Steven at the moment, but there is a second game to play. Should he lose this round, he can manually attach, actually. He does have 2 energy in hand. He has 1 rainbow in hand. He can attach this turn, but that might just be a turn too late if Adam pulls out that Guzma the next turn.
It's a big trade for Steven. He's been able to find himself that judge that he literally just pal-padded back into his deck. I think he's knowing that he's basically on the clock for Adam to find a Guzma for that Ditto Prism Star. As we say, that will easily round out the game. There are 2 Zapdos lying in wait, so Steven going to try and use that judge to make life awkward for Adam. His hand size is too scary right now. Thanks to that count gain as well, Steven is able to attach to his Zoroark, and he's going to fire off this judge, hoping that he can go for a GX attack this turn, tank a hit in the active, and ace a roller next turn, so then he can use that Righteous Beating. Steven, knowing that there are no double colors energies left, he has to leave himself with just these options here. It was a huge trade from him. He found both the judge and the counter gain. So after that one trade, those options opened up for him. And let's see if Adam is able to find himself that Guzma for next turn.
Let's see what Adam chooses not to look at his hand. He keeps it face down on the table. I mean, if that was me, I'd be in suspense. just to look, I wouldn't be able to have a look, to hold back. But Adam chooses to play his hand down, so we don't know if currently he has game in his hand. He needs to... Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have Guzma in hand, subject to what, well, maybe he can get out a Zeb Striker. That might be one out to go, is to use Sprint and trying to dig for that Guzma if it's not currently in hand. But let's see what Steven conjures up here. So he's going for a communication, looking through his deck, and I don't know, it's pretty backs to the wall for Steven at this moment, trying to work out what is the best viable option here. Does he concede the game and just think, okay, well, we still have over half an hour, try to get the most out of the time, try and win back another game. I mean, these are, you know, quite fast-paced decks. There goes Dangerous Rogue for the knockout.
So it's a game of chicken now. Can Adam find himself a Guzma? He's already got Ultra Ball and a Lily, so not this turn, but Lilying for, I think, 5 or 6 cards will definitely get him in good stead here.
Right, there is Zeb Striker, so he might go down the route of using the Zeb Striker for to try and dig for a Guzma. He's obviously used Ultra Ball to search for his deck to see what is in his deck if he does have any more Guzma in there.
Adam going to go for that sprint. 4 cards to find that Guzma. I don't think he's played many so far. And he gets it on the last card. Oh. Fantastic. Able to knock out that Ditto and round out game 1. Strong plays from Adam there. There was a conservative route there. When you had, 3 turns to find yourself a Guzma, you could have played Lily that turn, got into a big hand. Stephen had already used a Judge and already used that Pal Pad, so there was never going to be any more hand disruption. But Adam saying, I can hit this off sprint. I'll just win the game now and get on to the next one.
It's a case of high risk, high reward, I guess, right? So in this situation, yeah, I mean, I think Adam was in good standing. So, I mean, even if he missed the Guzma, that perhaps maybe he had another turn or two to try and find it. He did have Sub Striker in the active spot as well. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a case of maybe Adam is just thinking in terms of time to try and see this game out a bit more quickly. Could also use time to his advantage as well. Could have played that out a little bit longer, knowing that the next game might have finished in a tie. So that might have been a factor. But Adam just said, no, I'm just going to go straight with Sprint, try and dig for that Guzma, and he was able to find it. So, but he was able to use Ultra Ball just before that. He was able to search the contents of his deck to work out what is how many cards are in his deck, as well as if how many Guzmas he has in there. And obviously he felt the probability was in his favor, so that's why he decided to go with that move.
And if you're Steven, you just got to look beyond that game. You've prized 1 Acerola, 1 Stadium, and 2 double colorless energies. That probably won't happen again. So the hope is that if your deck is firing on all cylinders, you're going to have a better time in this second game. And we saw how he'd like to develop that early Grimer and Ditto. That's always a strategy you do go for. And of course, we have to stress that, oh my goodness, 2 Zoroark and a Grimer in the prize cards. Well, he's not going to be able to get that combo of double Ditto and Grimer threat. It's going to be down to Adam to see if he can get that turn 1 Guzma, as long as Steven's able to find it. And we see with Steven's first deck search of Nest Ball, he's going to get the sour news that it's in the prizes. Adam prizing his own Buzzwole, though. That's a big deal, as we saw how valuable Sledgehammer could be. So both players with an awkward prize card each.
Absolutely, and I mean, Steven will be able to have access to his Alolan Grimer because he does have the Ditto in his deck. You can see that is his first search. He is going for Ditto. Probably... I guess at this point you are looking for Ditto, but he gives him options in terms of if he wants to go into something else as well. But he's probably recognized now that through his first search that the Alolan Grimer is prized. So Ultra Ball again going back into his deck, trying to set up his bench as much as possible. Obviously that Zoroark GX does rely on having a lot of bench Pokemon to rack up the damage as well. I'm not sure if he's thinking... Okay, no, he's not thinking of Sneasel. He just has it at the top of his deck.
Yeah.
Zorua is... his choice to put Zorua down, but again, still searching through his deck to try and gain more valuable information as to what is prized at the moment.
I think as soon as Adam sees this Ultra Ball, he's got to be suspicious. He's got to be thinking there might be a Grimer in the prizes already. I know it's early and seeing a second Zorua is never that sketchy, but as soon as you see... especially when there's a third one coming down, I think Adam already knows what's up. When you see only 1 Ditto after an Ultra Ball and Nest Ball, he's going to have a good idea that there's just this 1 Ditto to get through. If Adam's able to do it on turn 1, it's going to be absolutely incredible here. If there was any doubt from Adam, this Nest Ball will definitely tell them that Steven has prized that Grimer.
Absolutely. I mean, if Adam can get a Zapdos onto the bench with 1 energy and a Guzma to knock out that Ditto, you have to think that the threat of Alolan Muck will probably not exist until Steven is able to go through his prizes and to try and dig out that Alolan Grimer. That Ditto will go into the Lost Zone as well, which means he won't have access to it later. He can't use Rescue Stretcher. So just looking through his hand at the moment... So there's 1 Muscle Band going down to the Rockruff there.
That's an interesting choice, really. I think he could have held that for trade fodder for next turn, because it looks like his hand is stacked full of Pokemon and Pokemon communications. Pretty interesting that he didn't hold on to this for trading options, but it's over to Adam. Does he have the Guzma Energy Zapdos in hand?
There goes the Rainbow Energy, putting 1 damage counter onto that Zapdos.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Well, he has no board set up, but he's holding on to supporters. He's holding on to a switch, but most importantly, dealing with the lone Ditto is such value for Adam that he can't say no to that option. Take that off the board and just let your plan A stick, knowing that you can do a lot of Stellar Wishing throughout the rest of the game just allows you to hit some crazy combos here. So great turn from Adam on first turn there.
Absolutely. And over the course of the first game, Adam wasn't able to use his Stellar Wish, but now he'll have access throughout the majority of the game to start digging for more resources, start digging for those Electro powers, and be able to access a lot more of the contents of his deck. On the other hand, Stephen has gone with a Pokemon Communication, searching through his deck to see what he wants to take.
Looks like he's going to be wonder tagging for that Mallow. He doesn't want to take any risks of missing double colours energies at this point, which you can definitely understand after the suspicious game one with a couple in those top prize cards, which is very ugly for him. Just going to take some guarantees at this point. Knocking out the Zapdos, definitely something he wants to do. Maybe grabbing another Zoroark as well. Remember, he's only limited to 2 Zoroark GX this game, a couple in his prize cards, but it's a reasonable turn 2 for Stephen, all things considered. The thing he can't access currently is Muck, and obviously that's the only stumbling block for him right now, but it's a reasonable turn 2 for him. A couple trades online, double Colorless Energy, Acerola for next turn in hand, so he's pretty well set up, all things considered.
Yeah, it's a pretty smart play on his side because he was able to use that Mallow and put 2 cards at the top of his deck. He chose to put 1 double Colorless Energy, which he now has, and then obviously the additional Zoroark. And then he was able to use Trade again and to go draw those 2 cards to make sure that he was guaranteed to have that in his hand, as well as use the additional Trade for the turn. So smart play on his side. Adam doesn't really have much of a setup at this point, but he just kind of went all out just to make sure that he was able to access a knockout on that Ditto. So he's still in the process of setting up. He's going through his deck. I believe this is his first search of this round. So he is able to search through to find out what is prized and what he's kind of working with at this point. So I'm just trying to think what was his option B at this point. He's choosing to go with Jirachi as opposed to get Zapdos.
He's holding a Skateboard and Switch already in hand, and he's already got a Cynthia, so this seems to be really reasonable. He can obviously use that Stellar Wish after this big 6-card draw, look to try and find himself some Zapdos pieces together again. So yeah, he's had a really nice turn 1 and 2 here, so long as he can find himself Basic Energy and Zapdos.
Absolutely. So he does take 6 cards from his deck, the top 6 cards of his deck, and draws for the turn. Let's see what he is working with here. He has 1 Nest Ball, which I believe that's a Nest Ball right at the back. He's going for Stellar Wish here to see.
Well, no energy cards in his hand, so he's just going to get lots of Ball Search by the looks of things. Maybe just fill up his board with some Blitzel and Jirachi, just saying, hey, I probably can't take a knockout this turn. Maybe I could Stellar Wish and find something like Shrine of Punishment to start getting some residual damage going. But by what I can see so far, it looks like there's going to be no attacking presence from Adam this turn, which is a bit of a stumbling block for him. He's going to go ahead and search out a Zapdos, though. There's the strange sort of backdoor option of just finding that Thunder Mountain off of one of these Stellar Wishes, but that's the only real way I can see him attacking so far. Absolutely,
and yeah, it's certainly. I mean, Adam will certainly feel that. Well, there's another Stellar Wish there from Adam. Adam will certainly feel that that there's an escape rope again if he wants to go. Well, but there's still no energy to attack with. But yeah, Adam will certainly feel that there is a little bit less pressure on having that Zeb Striker now because Alola Muck is not going to be able to come into play. But so yeah, he's just maximizing what he couldn't the last round, which was to make sure. There goes Shrine of Punishments. Wow, so it's certainly going to start racking up the damage on Adam's GX Pokemon. He has 2 Zoroarks in play, and and the Tapu Lele GX. But once those 2 Zoroarks go down, unless he starts to take more prizes, he is not going to be able to access more Zoroarks there. But he does have Acerola in his deck. I don't know if he has Acerola in hand at the moment, so he will be able to try and play a little bit, perhaps more conservatively, in trying to make sure that he's able to remove those damage counters, as well as, obviously, I saw a Rescue Stretcher as well there. So yeah, he does have Rescue Stretcher in hand, so if those Zoroarks do go down, he's able to recycle them back into his deck.
It's at this point in the game, last game, where everything went south for Stephen. He went down to that 4-prize turn, and then a Zoroark was immediately knocked out, and he didn't really have much of a response. So it's going to be down to Stephen maybe doing some sort of Bloodthirsty Eye shenanigans, maybe deal with the Blitzel, deny some of Adam's draw this turn. I think that's the ideal thing he's really looking for here. As we know, no more Zoroarks can hit this board, so just the 2 trades this turn. He's found himself a Guzma so far. A Judge as well could potentially useful for him as well. Adam currently holding on to just 4 cards though, so it's kind of just like giving him random rather than giving him new cards. Let's see, can he get into a Lycanroc? Not from what I can tell. He's holding on to a couple Acerolas, and he might just have to have the brave decision here. of just attaching to one of his bench Pokemon and swinging into the active here. He's actually able to rescue Stretcher, and he's going to Bloodthirsty Eyes up the Jirachi. There's an interesting call here. Do you take out the Blitzel, denying the draws to find things like Rainbow Energy and Beast Energy? Or do you take out the Stellar Wish that already has the skateboard attached to it? Steven's saying that he doesn't want to let Adam have as many Stellar Wishes as he would like. And he's also going to get that backup attacker ready to go and go down to 4 prize cards. We know he's safe because Adam's prized that Buzzwole, but he must be pretty sweaty right now with the fear of Adam having a big turn.
Wow, and he has actually just taken off the top of that the Alolan Grimer from his prizes. So now on his following turn, well, he does actually have a full bench at the moment, which means he can't actually bench it. So that's the next problem that he has to tackle. But once he does open up 1 bench space, he can put that Alolan Grimer down, which could be quite useful in terms of preventing Jirachi using Stellar Wish. But now Adam does have Zebstrike in play as well, so he will have a form of drawing more cards should he want to. But still, again on Steven's side, he is feeling the pressure of that Zapdos sitting on the bench, waiting to come into the active to use Thunderous Assault. On top of that, he is able to rack up more damage with Shrine of Punishments, which doesn't look like too much when it's only 1 damage counter, but over turns that really starts to add up a lot of damage and to add up a lot of numbers as well when you start to apply things like Electro Power in that as well.
One big thing is that Shrine of Punishment has stayed in play here, so Adam's going to be getting some continual value. We start his turn with a Sprint after stretching back a Zapdos, and now we see the first Stellar Wish here. Adam's going to start accumulating some more damage, picking that Electro Power from the top 5. Such an important ability, and he's been allowed to keep it in play with no Alolan Muck hitting the field. It doesn't look like there's any draw supporter in his hand though, so this may be another sort of slowish turn right now. I don't think he can reach a knockout with a Zapdos. It looks like he's just going to be setting up another 2-hit KO here. Missed an attack last turn. This turn it's just an attack for 80. We know Steven's already holding on to Acerola. That's not only going to be a way for him to wipe off a lot of damage here on the active Zoroark, but it's also going to free up that bench space that you mentioned for the Alolan Grimer next turn as well. So that's definitely pretty reasonable for Steven here. Things are starting to turn into his favor. He's got around the Sledgehammer turn this time, and now he's going to start taking control of this game by the looks of things. The only real thing on his mind is that Shrine of Punishment is still getting immense value.
Right, and I think that, I can't remember if he had 1 Devoured Field prized or not, but he does have access to removing that. He's going for trade, which is, there is 1 Devoured Field in his hand, so he does have access to removing that. Adam does actually have in his hand for the following turn, he does have I believe he had the Thunder Mountain in hand. I have to double check that.
Sprinted away, yeah.
Oh, okay,
See
right, so
in the lost zone there.
Oh, yes, yeah, you're right, yeah. So he doesn't have access to replacing that just yet, but he does have 1 more Shrine of Punishments in hand as well. So
Steven, going to have a quick look at how many Choice Bands and Electro Powers have gone. He's got the sort of decision of being greedy and bringing up the Zoroark that already has 3 damage counters on it, or the safe route, which is the Zorua here, and he can re-evolve that for an additional trade. He's thinking about putting down the Zorua and then sees, wait, I've got an Alolan Grimer, but
he does go for Zorua.
Still going for Zorua here. It's a bold call from him, saying, well, Adam's just going to take the easy 1 prize anyway, and he's currently on odd prize cards, so Steven's going to try and force him down to that 7 prize game if he can, and just replenish that Zorua. Obviously, thinking that Adam, with the option of Jirachi and Sprint, he's almost always going to have that Guzma available. He's going to try and just put the Grimer down at a different point in this game and just go for the Righteous Beating knockout once again. As we see Adam pass over now. He's currently holding on to 1 Electro Power. He's going to Stellar Wish, and he's really digging towards that knockout. We need to see some Shrine of Punishment. Oh no, we've changed the Shrine of Punishment. Perfect. So it's down to him to see if he can maybe get a Guzma knockout on the Tapu Lele, or if he can build up to a big knockout on the active here.
Right, and it's a lot of pressure on Steven's side to keep replenishing that bench, because that bench, once he does get a lot, his bench full of Pokemon, that Zoroark does hit 120 damage, which is enough to knock out Zapdos. So it's integral to him that he manages to make sure his bench is full, which does give him the 1-shot knockout on that Zapdos. But let's see what Adam goes with here. So there is a Nest Ball. See what he searches through his deck for here. Goes for the Tapu Koko.
I really like this play. I think Adam's going to have to, currently he has no energy in his hand for this Zapdos, so he has to replenish somehow. This is a fantastic way to do so. And I think he's going to be using this last Stellar Wish to really hope and hunt for a Guzma. That's exactly what he needs this turn. He's got too many Electro Powers in hand to go for any other play. And you can see him shaking his head. No Guzma in the top 5. Really, really awkward for Adam. This is not what he was wanting. He can't really sprint away his hand. He's got 2 Electro Powers. It's going to be too painful. So he just have to take the escape rope here just to get any attack off. But again, Steven has the options to go into other GX Pokemon here, and it's not looking great for Adam at this point. He's had a couple of slower turns this game. We're going to see the Dance of the Ancients getting prepared here for Adam. Just the one target onto his Zapdos. But like we said, it's just really awkward for a sprint unless he's going to go for the final escape rope on this final Stellar Wish to look for the Guzma play. If not, he could, if Steven brings up a GX Pokemon, he could play both Electro Powers and have the last chance saloon of that sprint after the fact. So he's put Steven in an awkward spot here with the escape rope at the very least. It'll be interesting to see if Adam chooses to go into that last Jirachi or not. Steven going to bring up the 30 damage Zoroark. 180 is the target for Adam. And you can see that's still a difficult target. So we'll have one last Stellar Wish to look for a Guzma here. He wants a cheap prize if possible. Another whiff from him.
There. So there is a Shrine of Punishment, so he can put that down, and if he wants to put the Shrine of Punishments down, deal a bit of damage to that Zoroark, try and rack up the damage in between turns, try and put more damage counters on it. But yeah, I think
at this point he's got the Shrine of Punishment, 2 Electro Powers. He's all in with this sprint. We need switching card and 1 more damage buff. That is a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, it's quite difficult at this moment. I think that's more or less what Adam can do. So he
can attach and Lily still. He's still not out of it. That's how many options he has here. He's so far used 3 Stellar Wishes and a sprint, and he still has his supporter for turn. Here we go. Can Lily get him? Switching card, damage buff. Oh, he was so close. He's dug so far for this knockout, but it's at this point where he can't even attack. No switching card. 2 Electro Powers burned. That's really painful for Adam.
That is horrific for Adam. You really want to maximize and take advantage. When you use Electro Power, you really need to put a lot of pressure to using a Pokemon that can utilize it. He's used 2 Electro Powers and missed that switching card, which is pretty big at this moment, especially when you start to consider that you have Shrine of Punishment in play as well to start racking up damage. I guess the one thing that Adam does have going for him at this point is that even though he is kind of behind on prizes, is that he can still knock out GX Pokemon and take 2 prizes as opposed to where Steven is only taking 1 prize when he knocks out a Pokemon. So Adam is certainly making Steven play the long game here, whereas if he is able to rack up some more damage, Adam will be able to take quick prizes with things like his Zapdos. And of course, as long as Shrine of Punishment stays in play, that will also be another viable option as well.
We're going to see Steven now, such a huge sigh of relief that once again he's avoided any prize being taken against him. One sort of scary thing here that he's opening the door for is he's going to be attaching to the active. We might see him pave a tree out of this active, because you always have to be a little bit concerned about Tapu Koko GX on Adam's side. But Steven, he's going to Acerola up his Lycanroc GX by the looks of things. He's still keen on attaching these choice bands, which is very interesting. It looks like he's trying to prepare himself for the Tapu Koko GX, basically say, hey, Adam, I'm at 2 prize cards now. You sure you want to use this Tapu Koko at this point? It's kind of baiting him into this knockout. And if you're Adam with so many Electro Powers burnt at this point, he's really hoping that Shrine of Punishment can stay in play for a long time if he's even going to get close here to bringing back this game. The Zoroarks do have a lot of damage on them, as does that Tapu Lele GX, but he's still falling really far behind here, with Steven literally having to announce 2 attacks to win the game. Right. And that's already in play for him.
Yeah, time is certainly not on Adam's side here. I mean, if he does concede this game, that will go to 1-1, which probably means, on the basis of things, that we will probably end up in a tie. Adam does not want that, considering how well he managed to play out the first game here. So he'll be able to, to try and see if he can pull this game back. There's no real point, I believe, on Adam's side to concede this match and then move on to the next one. I think it's just a case of trying to see what he can conjure up here. But Steven only has to take 2 more knockouts at this point. I mean, he can obviously go with Zapdos, try and take the knockout on something like a Zoroark GX or something like that. But then if he does, and Steven is able to respond with a KO, that puts a lot of pressure on Adam the following turn, because that means all he needs is just the 1 knockout, which is quite easily done, especially when he already has a Zoroark on the bench with Double Colorless Energy, and he's able to rack up the maximum amount of damage because he has a full bench with Righteous Beating. So looking pretty slim at the moment for Adam, but still worth playing it out and worth seeing what happens here. So
yeah, you really have to credit Steven's Acerola last turn as well. It doesn't look like much, but it shuts the door from a Nightcap from that Nihilego as well. So that option has been shut out from Adam as well. So maybe we will still see a Nightcap this turn, but Adam's already committed a Choice Band and Electro Power. So it feels more or less the same as using this Nihilego, but you get use out of it now at the very least. But it feels like he's just spent a lot of his Electro Powers and not always found what he's needed off them. But yeah, commendable from Steven there to Acerola the turn you're going into Nightcap. And Adam has that one final sprint and says, yeah, I can't win this game. They're going to go to a third.
Right, interesting that he's managed to do what he's done that. So yeah, his time is not on Adam's side, I believe, to try and get a result, but well, we can see there are, we've seen stranger things here on stream before. Adam actually does play a very fast-paced deck, so I mean, it could be the case that he's able to take some very quick knockouts with Zapdos, start to apply some Shrine of Punishments and Electro Power in this case. But yeah, I mean, it does look like that we will be heading into a tie, but we will see. We've had a lot more stranger things happen on stream, so.
Yeah, game 2 was all about Steven dodging the 2 power spike turns. He was able to avoid that Sledgehammer thanks to some helpful prize cards on his end, and he was also able to play around that Nightcap. That's sometimes so often the way that these Ultra Beast based builds can jump up into some big 2 prize knockouts for just 1 attachment. That's how they try and get the leg up over Zoroark, as well as having that Zeb Striker in the back. So Steven not phased by prizing his Alolan Grimer and not using Muck the entire game. He was still able to pull it out thanks to some awkward Stellar Wishing from Adam. He had that one turn. He kind of went all in with a couple of Electro Powers and just hopeful that he could dig that last time with a sprint, but he was just a couple cards short in the end, and that's what pushed him into this game 3 at this point.
Right, and as you can see in Adam's deck, that he has so many outs of drawing cards. I mean, he used 3 Stellar Wishes, he used his supporter for the turn, he used a sprint, and was still unable to find a switching card that would have got that Jirachi out of the active spot, and then promoting Zapdos, which would have had 2 Electro Powers for that turn. I think even 3 by the end of it. He had another Electro Power in hand at that moment, so it would have been doing some pretty big damage at that moment. I believe Shrine of Punishments was in play as well. So, but let's see how they get on here. Let's see what happens here in terms of this final game here. We'll see very shortly what they have prized. As you can see, Adam is moving his prizes over. So 2 Jirachi, 2 Electro Power, and a Zapdos. Oh, not good.
That is ugly. Electro Power is one of your biggest ways to reach on some of these GX Pokemon. That's going to be really rough for him. I think Adam's going to have to play swiftly here. He's going to have a quick look through what's prized and what's not. At the very least, the Zeb Striker line's untouched. And once again, Steven, 2 double colorless energy.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Both of these players have had horrendous prize cards over the last 3 games.
Well, I guess it kind of evens itself out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, 2 double colors prize again. In ratio, in terms of how the prizes are set up, I believe that Steven probably won't be taking those prizes or those double colors energies for a little while. So it means he will have to try and establish his side of the board with only 2 double colors energy for the moment. There goes an escape rope, which has no effect on Steven's side, but will put that Jirachi into play. Lily goes into hand, so he will be able to maximize the full 8 cards this turn. Let's see if he can decrease his hand size a little bit more, just to try and make sure that he's able to draw more cards. What does he have in his hand? Because there's a lot in his hand that he's currently...
Not many playables, yeah. Do you really want to commit this Choice Band, knowing you've got 2 Electro Powers burnt? Do you want to commit a Rainbow Energy? None of this feels great. He might be doing a couple of awkward... plays here just to draw a few more cards off the Lily here, because that's really his only option. He's going to Rainbow Energy his active Tapu Koko Prism Star after a switch, and Lily for a handful. It means that he could pay retreat into another Jirachi this turn.
Yeah, I mean, he can't attack this turn, and most of his attackers just utilize 1 energy anyway, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, because it is his first turn, so he won't be able to attack. So that is, I guess, a smart play on Adam's side, that he will be able to just retreat and then go into another Jirachi, which he has got on the bench. But yeah, and that Tapu Koko, that 1 damage counter on Tapu Koko, probably...
Interesting. Adam not wanting to Stellar Wish. He says that he's got enough in his hand right now for what he needs next turn. I think he's already holding on to Nespal, Guzma, Energy, which is very reasonable, to be honest. But he could have kept that option open, basically, by staying in the active position. It means he can retreat and smack the active if he has to.
Right.
So not having that 1 extra dig is fair when you've already got a hand as good as Adam's is right now. As we pass it over to Steven, kicking off with a Nest Ball here. You can have a small sigh of relief that the Ditto and Grimer are available, but 2 more double Colors energies is just such a painful thing to look through, because they're so critical to chain these knockouts with Riotous Beating, as we saw in the last game.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things that you kind of adjust what you're searching for subject to the matchup. So in this case, Alolan Grimer is very important. So he will, Alolan Muck is very important, but it's important to get out your Grimers and Ditto in this case. So this is something that he'll be looking for. I mean, in every matchup that he plays over the course of yesterday and over the course of today, he will be looking at how many double Colors energies he has within his deck. So as you can see, he only has 2. He's looking through, this is an Ultra Ball search he's going for here. He's looking through to see what his next option or what his next target will be, and also trying to gain more information in the process. And he does go for that Alolan Grimer.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. This Ultra Ball as well, getting rid of Acerola and Guzma would seem horrible, but he is holding on to Pal Pad as well. He could be using that after this Lily. Maybe even before if he feels like that's worth it. Yep, he's going to do the Pal Pad first. It means Lily's getting you an extra card as well, which all seems to make sense here. So pretty good start from Steven. Really, off this Lily, he's just looking for cards for next turn, as well as maybe an extra Zorua here or there. A Rockruff would be great, but looks like his turn 1's pretty much as good as it gets here. He's also going to Rainbow Energy his active. Means he can get a nice little ram in on the 130 hit point Tapu Koko Prism Star if he wishes, but also it means he can retreat and protect this Zorua as well if he doesn't draw into any others, which is seeming to be the case here. He's got himself an Ultra Ball, but yeah, pretty awkward.
Right, and there's no reason not to attack if he chooses to go with leaving that Zorua in the active spot, although you have to think that that damage will probably later be irrelevant because he will most likely use Dance of the Ancients and that Tapu Koko will go into the Lost Zone, so, but I mean, you know...
You do it just so you can tell your friends you did it on stream. You
right.
use the Stampede for 10 damage.
Right. And you can go back and watch the stream later on the archives. So, but yeah, so there goes Tapu Lele GX looking for a supporter card. He is choosing to go. What is he going with?
Yeah, it looks like he's just setting up for next turn. It might be the Mallow that's the pick here. If he's choosing Mallow, it tells me that he's got at least one Zoroark GX in his hand. But Judge seems to be the pick here. Pretty interesting from Steven. It's not getting you the most amount of cards, but he's really focused on trying to disrupt Adam's side of the field here. He's actually going to retreat into his Tapu Lele GX, as we said, protecting this Zorua as much as he can here, as we do pass it over to Adam. As we said, he was holding on to that Guzma play, hoping that there was maybe only one target to pick on, but Steven's got both down this time. And looks like he's got the escape board picked up this turn.
There's Guzma.
Yeah, he's going to try and pick off this Ditto still.
Right,
he's got Nest Ball.
So you have to think that Zapdos is going to be the option here. Let's see what he... That's a Blitzel,
I think he's already got the Rainbow Energy in his hand for the Buzzwole to take the knockout on this Ditto. And because you see Steven already has the backup Alolan Grimer, you just want to develop this Blitzel because you don't want to leave yourself with nothing. So developing that Blitzel, definitely a smart play from Adam. He's also picked up a Shrine of Punishment, which looks reasonable.
Yeah, I think you take it at this moment. There are no GX Pokemon currently in play on Steven's side, but you take it... just so that you know you have it, you can put it into play at the end of this turn, and then it kind of forces Steven that if he does put any GX Pokemon down, that they will start taking damage counters between turns. So, but for the moment, there goes the retreat into Buzzwole. Buzzwole is going to take the knockout on here. Let's see what Adam takes. Just missed that as to what he's taken. We'll have to have a look in his hand once he raises his hand there. But on Steven's side, he's thinking what to promote. What is he working with here? Does he have access to a Zoroark here? He's got Fighting Double Colorless. He has a Judge in hand from last turn, and he also has an Ultra. Is that not? Yeah, he does have an Ultra Ball.
He's got Ultra Ball Double Colorless Energy in hand already. And that Judge, that's the only thing that's awkward here. You don't have high odds of finding your one Alola Muck if you're just doing one trade in a Judge. That's why it was such an interesting pick from his Tapu Lele last turn. He was really considering that Mallow, but he chose against it. And now Steven's going to promote his Riolu.
He just drew
drew the Lucario. That works. That's a pretty nice pickup from him. We're also going to see Ultra Ball here. I think Kukui is definitely going to be one of the things nominated to get discarded here. Looks like also the Double Colors Energy.
Wow.
If you're committing to this Lucario line, it means that you're going to be Ultra Balling. Finding that Zoroark, you can attach to the active, evolve up into it, evolve your Zoroark, play the Judge, and the hope that one trade can get you into a lower Muck. That seems to be the line that Steven's going for here.
There is the... Yeah, so he's gone for Judge here. So he has gone for the Lucario play here. There goes Judge. He's trying to disrupt Adam a little bit. I think that... I mean, if he can get the Alolan Muck into play, I think that's going to be crucial at this point. Because I think Adam will probably most likely just draw out of this judge, just based on the fact that if he can get that Zip Striker...
Oh, first card. Incredible.
Wow. So that is a huge play. That is
Still
huge.
has trade available, remember.
So there goes Nestball for... Sorry, that is a trade.
Oh, that's a great trade.
Yeah.
Trade in the Nestball, find another one straight away, and an extra card. You get deeper into the deck.
Yeah,
One of the best trade deals in history.
And actually, a minor point there is that actually, if he does put down that Alolan Muck, that actually one damage that he put that Zorua onto that Tapu Koko might actually be relevant at the later stages of the game. So not all in vain, as we find out now. There goes Alolan Muck. So, and he goes for the knockout on the Buzzwole. Did he just draw Did he draw another double colours off that? I believe he had two prizes. There was one.
It's the Zoroarks that are prized this time around. Oh no, it is the double colours energies. Yeah, he's got one. Fantastic. Right. That's a big relief for him after discarding one earlier this turn. Adam just has the slowest turn possible. Judge has done its work by the looks of things, as we see Steven just ticking over more Shrine of Punishment damage. Adam's got nothing to work with here. Just a bunch of stadium cards and more Jirachis. Muck doing the business right now.
Muck is
Steven's able to find a Guzma on Blitzel. It's just going to really close out Adam's options to draw cards, and it's just going to be more turns like this. This is where Zoroark seems to start taking control of the game. You get all the hand advantage of the world, you dig into these options, and he's already picked up that Guzma.
He
immediately goes for it, yeah.
Wow. I mean, Steven is in such a commanding position at the moment. You have to think that Steven will probably look to wrap up this game, but I think time is just against him on this one. I think this game will most likely end in a tie. But yeah, if it continues, you have to believe that...
I mean, if the turns are going as quickly as Adam's just going with right now, he's got no options. He has to just pass over the turn here. Maybe attach to the Tapu Koko Prism Star, but I mean, that's all the plays you have, and it's an ugly play. He's just going to retreat into a next Jirachi and send it Steven's way.
Wow.
There may even be time for this game. Steven's got to do the Shrine of Punishments quickly, though.
He has to go quick. He's got less than 30 seconds. He has to go. I mean, that's going to take up time in itself, just trying to get all those damage counters on. But he has to move quickly. If
Stadium replacement's huge.
There goes Devourfield. That will save a little bit of time between turns. But Steven, he needs to start attacking. Forget these trades. You don't have much time.
He just needs to smack
just
at
go.
this point.
Just go. But yeah, I think...
Oh, he's done it.
Okay.
Just in time. Maybe.
Right.
Probably
so
not. With just non-GXs on the field.
I think that's... I mean, if Adam... Hold on. I think if Adam actually doesn't draw into an... Oh, he has a Jirachi in hand, so I don't think he's going to be able to...
So Adam just has to bench Jirachi, and now he can pass more contently than previously.
Right. So I believe that's turn one of time.
Turn zero.
Turn zero. So then Steven will have to... Yeah, you have to feel for Steven there. He had that game wrapped up in the bag, but in the end was not able, due to time, to take that match. Adam will certainly be feeling very relieved at the end. I mean, you can see the look of disappointment on Steven's face. He knew he had that one. Just have to play quickly and try and get that match in the bag. But time was against him on this side, on this occasion. But congratulations to both Steven and Adam for a very exciting match that we've just featured there.
It was a fantastic back and forth for both players. I mean.